In this proud land we grew up strong. We were wanted all along. I was taught to fight, taught to win. I never thought I could fail.
They were right. So we could do the creatures of habit, aren't they? Someone's got to go to the I'm calling you.
There you go.
Oh, sorry. I've kind of got a cross between anybody and yeah, but I didn't really know the
waiting to get in at 6:30, and that they've set up the grand hall. Is that what it's called?
There's some pretty bloody good quality coming out of it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Let's go to see.
Okay, rightio.
Would you like something from the bar?
I'll have a Scotch and Coke, please.
Gin and tonic for me, thanks. Great to catch up, mate. Feels like old times.
Yeah. I reckon the first film we ever saw together was The Beatles, Let It Be.
Yeah, if my memory is any good, it was in Russell Street, in a little dungeon called the Playbox. But the first short film we made together was Empty Chairs, using the old Super 8 format with the red soundtrack stripe and frame glue.
That's a long time ago, Muzz.
Oh, yeah, 1969. Hendrix was wild. Clapton was God.
That's over 40 years ago.
Yeah, where's that gone? You were tall and lean in smart three-piece suits and a Robert Wagner moustache.
And you're a 5'0" fresh-faced kid in a Happy Hammond jacket from Merivale and Mr. John.
Don't laugh. For my first day at work, Mum took me to the boys' department to admire, to buy a suit.
Remember your initiation?
Which one?
We took you to the salubrious Clare Castle Hotel for the 20-minute two-pots and a corned beef sandwich lunch.
Yes. How could I forget? I went back to work drunk and I was in a coma at me desk by 3:30.
Paul Simon captured it beautifully when he sung about the days of miracle and wonder.
We were young, innocent. Dylan was our tambourine man, and we truly believed the times were a-changin'. What's the best thing that's ever happened to you?
Got any easier questions, Mars?
Seriously, I'm interested. In all the time I've known you, I don't think I've ever asked.
The son, James. Love him to bits. We're best friends, as well as father and son. What about you?
Oh, meeting Louise changed my life. Until then, I was like a man without a country. Sad, lonely, lost. Louise accepted me completely. 25 years on, we still love each other. I'm a lucky man. Oh, thank you.
That's fine. So we've done the best. So what's the worst thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh, that's tough. It's not something I ever talk about.
Don't keep me in suspense. What is it?
Promise you won't laugh?
Come on, Muzz.
When I was a boy, I wet the bed. Not just once or twice, but every night without fail for 15 years.
Shit.
I'd wake chilled to the core, stinking of urine. Sunrise became synonymous with failure. Well over 5,000 of them.
I don't know what to say. I read somewhere recently paediatricians now believe there's a gene to explain bedwetting.
Oh, too little too late for me and others like me, I'm afraid.
How did you cope?
Well, I'd slink into breakfast and my parents would mention the unmentionable. Did you wet the bed last night? I hated answering that question in front of my older brother and younger sister. Cereal humiliation was the Iron Man food of the day. I often wondered how a warm, loving heart was supposed to make sense of a cold, unforgiving bed.
Didn't you share a bedroom with your brother?
Yeah, Greg was fantastic. He never complained about the stench or ever criticised me. How bizarre. Here we are at the movies, discussing my pissing history.
They should have a dedicated copy of Piss Christ on the wall instead of that old picture of cubes. What did your parents do about it?
Well, remember this is 1950s post-war Melbourne. Apart from a general physical, the medical profession just thought you grew out of it. There was no treatment, and we're talking of a time when doctors and priests were held in high esteem. We were helpless and desperate. I was a willing guinea pig for any anecdotal cure me mum found in women's magazines. Everything from no liquids after 4 p.m, honey before bedtime, even menthoid tablets that turned my urine purple.
Purple? Wasn't there a song about purple haze all in my brain?
Oh yeah, a real hit during playtime. You should have seen the looks on the other kids' faces standing at the urinal when my psychedelic blend went floating by. Quick! Somebody call an ambulance!
If it wasn't the truth, Mars, it would be funny.
Oh, there's lots more. Lecithin with my meals. We even put the end of the bed up on bricks. Something about gravity and a host of other hope-filled disappointments. I remember once when I was about 12 going into a chemist with Mum, and she asked for some Becks and a cure for bedwetting.
You're joking.
Oh, I wish I was, mate. Can't really blame her. She was obviously at the end of her tether. I mean, I'd get up early in the morning and put the offending sheets into the wash trough, but the majority of hard physical labour fell to Mum. We only had a copper and all the wringing out was done manually. At times I was really afraid she'd want to drop me off at the local boys' orphanage.
Back to the chemist. What did he say?
He suggested we measure the diameter of my penis, and he'd supply a length of tubing, one end to be attached, the other to hang out an open window. I was terrified he meant it.
He is unbelievable.
Turning to leave, we were confronted by a wall of smirking customers. I felt the annihilating rage that accompanies wounded pride.
I can't imagine it. My childhood was boring in comparison. I'm not sure how I'd handle it if my son was a bedwetter. And I think Rose would struggle too. Guess we all start out with loving kindness, Muzz, but realistically, how long can it last?
Oh, you're not going to sit there and defend that sort of treatment, are you?
No, but I wonder how any parent would deal with this.
Wasn't my fault. I didn't do it on purpose. And I spent many long years in shameful withdrawal.
You still sound angry.
Oh, I guess I am. Wouldn't you be? The years pass, but the pain and the stain linger. You'll think I'm crazy, but I used to have serious talks with my penis and its malevolent orifice. Tried begging, bargaining. I even threatened to hack it off.
Sounds bloody drastic.
Dread time I'd innocently hop into bed and pray and pray and pray. Urine came, but God didn't. Despair grew as my faith diminished. One night I cried myself to sleep and I I never prayed again. Every night I'd try and fall asleep while holding on.
That can't be good for you, Muzz.
Once again I failed, but I never gave up trying.
It explains the empathy you have for people who are suffering. And I bet that's where your persistence and patience comes from.
Not to mention my masochistic tendencies.
I've noticed if there's an easy or a hard way, you'll choose Struggle Street every time.
Every morning I used to wonder, what's wrong with me? Self-disgust and high anxiety make strange bedfellows. Still, somehow, life had to be lived, so I immersed myself in sport. Any sport. Running, cricket, football, swimming, you name it. Mid-20th century male form of denial, I suppose. Self-loathing came disguised in a Collingwood Guernsey. I longed for someone to take my secret seriously, but at the time I never did see the irony of self-imposed silence.
Muzz, I can't believe all this.
My school bag was always packed with anticipation of inadequacy. Imagine my anxiety sitting in close proximity to students for 7 periods of study a day. Despite obsessive washing habits, urine leaked from every pore, and being cooped up in the hot, airless classrooms only made the osmosis more pungent. I waited for that question to be asked. What is that dreadful smell? And my deception would be publicly uttered. I really feared the smelly label, as years earlier a young kid in our class shit his pants. He became known as Pooh Boy. Tag remained with him for years.
Labels stem from ignorance, mate. Just lazy attempts to control the world around us.
In years 11 and 12, I avoided the compulsory cadet bivouacs. The other students would hold royal commissions into my absences. After all, why should they have to go if I didn't? Of course, weekend stayovers with mates was never a possibility. You're not saying much.
To be honest, I'm just stunned.
Well, you've heard my story. What's yours?
Wait a minute. Aren't you going to tell me what happened?
Well, when the family were more financial, I went to a psychologist. And after 3 weeks of loud bills, flashing lights and wet stain measurement, I no longer wet the bed. After waiting such a long time, the swift cure was bittersweet. I was warm, dry, but very, very distrusting of my own body. Now, what about you?
Well, my story's more of a moral dilemma.
Oh, it's not a competition, Steve.
Well, the worst thing that ever happened to me was being conscripted, ending up in Vietnam, fighting an enemy I didn't know, in a war I didn't believe in or understand.
Oh, I could never have done that. Ever consider becoming a conscientious objector?
Yeah, but only for a nanosecond. I knew people who tried. Their life became a living hell. I was tortured by choice and tempted by ideals, but in the end I didn't have the guts.
Oh, don't be too hard on yourself. I remember Dr. Jim Cairns' moratorium marches, a nation divided. Standing up for something you believe in is never easy, especially in hostile territory. Dissent often meant that you're a coward. And then, just to add insult to injury, you poor blokes came back to jeers and ingratitude.
I think we kid ourselves about tolerating differences.
I reckon we kid ourselves about a lot of things. Truth is often a casualty of fear.
How about we shelve the rest of my war story till later? Let's go in. Thanks for telling me, mate. It can't have been easy.
Nah, but like your story and tour of duty in Nam, the decisions we make help shape who we are.
And who we're not.
Don't give up, 'cause you have so strange the way things turn.
Don't give up, you still have us. Don't give up, we don't need much of anything. Don't give up, 'cause somewhere there's a place where we belong. Rest your head, you worry too much.